Judith is a force of nature.
A true crusader for libraries, for the First Amendment.
A person like none I have ever known before.
How did you get interested in this in the first place?
Oh, actually, I just sort of fell into it. I was working somewhere else and a job became available, and I was called and I was asked if I wanted to interview for it, and I did. I started out in the research office, but I have been in the Office for Intellectual Freedom since it was begun, which was in 1967. So I've been there a long time.
When I first came to the Association of American Publishers, which was in 1979, Judith was already legendary in the work that she had been doing in defense of intellectual freedom and the First Amendment. Gordon Conable introduced me to her in the early 1990s, and I decided right away, based on her charisma and enthusiasm and passion, that it was time for me to shift over and be a broader involvement in intellectual freedom. And she invited me to be an intern on the committee. And that was the time of the Kramer case in New Jersey. And from then on, I had been one of her faithful disciples.
What kind of interactions did you have with her when you were on the executive board?
Well, we made it a point to always have lunch or breakfast or some meal together during those years, and we would compare notes. And some of those notes were interesting that I'm not going to share with you now.
I was always explaining that I wasn't the Judith, I was just this Judith. And I always said that I did for the publishers what Judith was doing for the library community, but not as well. Uniquely, she has taken charge of, developed, and continues to nurture the idea of the legitimacy of the American Library Association, a private organization, developing, implementing, advocating for policies in all kinds of libraries that protect First Amendment rights and Fourth Amendment rights in libraries. ALA could not possibly have the kind of role it does today without all that she does.
Once I became one of her minions, my life changed, becoming meaningful at last, and I never looked back.
I think that Judith has clearly been, as the founding director of both the Intellectual Freedom Office and the Freedom to Read Foundation, she has been our beacon, if you will, for intellectual freedom across all these years, 40 of them. And there's really no one who's probably more respected on the issues that have affected us across the years in terms of First Amendment rights of the American public. She's been on the national stage right from the get-go.
I don't think censorship is ever the solution to any problem, be it societal or be it the kind of information or ideas that you have access to. Our basic position is that libraries have to fulfill the information needs of all the people. Banned Books Week is the celebration that is run by the librarians and the booksellers and journalists and authors every year to say to the American public, we have wonderful freedoms that are guaranteed to us in our Constitution and Bill of Rights. And two of the most important are freedom of speech and freedom of the press. But they are very fragile, and if you don't use them, you really stand a chance that somebody's going to take them away from us.
And what the ALA says is that parents really should get to the back of the bus, they should keep their mouths shut, that they don't have a right to participate in a dialogue about what is age-appropriate reading for younger children. And
well, that, of course, is a silly statement because that is entirely untrue.
How does 1997 look to you compared to the 31 years you've been involved in this kind of stuff?
The internet is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. We are at the beginning of the most important revolution in terms of communication that we've experienced since the invention of the printing press. And being there right at the beginning is so exciting. Still blocked are materials and information about AIDS, women's rights, animal rights, Native American sites, the American Association of University Women, indeed all groups that have association in their titles. It's amazing what people will complain about. Everyone has to remember that libraries serve the information needs of everyone in the community that they serve. Not only the most popular people, not only the most vocal, not only the loudest, and not even only the majority. We have to serve the information needs of everybody, and that includes people on the fringes. And they can be economic fringes, they can be social fringes, political fringes. We serve the needs of those people that we wouldn't take home for dinner.
I cannot think of anyone with whom I hold in greater affection and for whom I have greater respect.
There is no other individual I can think of who has had such an impact on librarians, libraries, and the people they serve.
A true crusader for libraries, for the First Amendment, tireless, I would say, in her dedication.
We are bitter as a profession because she's a member of our profession.
Oftentimes people, and I've been in this situation, caught in a situation in a library where I'm not very happy about the way things are going, and she always says, well, think about it. What's the goal? What has to happen? What if you left? Will anybody be there to defend what needs to be defended? Of course, you have to decide what is best for you also. But if you decide to stay, then you just move yourself so slowly that people don't even recognizing that what you're doing is helping to right things in terms of intellectual freedom in that library. And I've given that message to students, to people that I do training for. It resounds tremendously. It's if they all take a deep breath. Like, I don't have to be perfect right away. I can work on this and I can help my institution work on this.
It's all about choice. When it comes right down to it, it's all about choice.